Okay, welcome to the Key Concepts 1.3 Roman numeral number 2 video. We read Key Concept 1.3 in the last video, so now we will read Roman numeral number 2. The first states emerged within core civilizations in Mesopotamia and the Nile River Valley. States were powerful new systems of rule that mobilized surplus labor and resources over large areas. Rulers of early states often claimed divine connections to power. Rulers also relied on the support of the military, religious, or aristocratic elites. As states grew and competed for land and resources, the more favorably situated had greater access to resources, produced more surplus food, and experienced growing populations, enabling them to undertake territorial expansion and conquer surrounding states. Pastoralists were often the developers and disseminators of new weapons and modes of transportation that transformed warfare in agrarian civilizations. Mesopotamia could best be described as a land of villages and cities. Groups of villages banded together to protect each other. And during key times in the agricultural societies, they would exchange tools, barns, and threshing floors. Most cities evolved from villages. When a successful village grew, other small villages developed and merged, eventually forming a city-state. So in Mesopotamia, let me write that down. Let me write that in a color you can see. In Mesopotamia, city-states formed as a result of multiple villages banding together. Mesopotamia, city-states formed as a result of multiple villages banding together. And people believe that cities formed as a result of people realizing the need to organize labor and create and maintain irrigation channels. So let me write that down. Cities formed as a result of people realizing that I spelled that wrong. Realizing that they needed to organize labor and create irrigation channels, formed as a result of people realizing they need to organize labor and create irrigation channels. Mesopotamian cities also had specialization of labor. Specialization of labor occurred. Some people farmed, other people manufactured pottery, some people were artists, some people worked as priests, some people worked as administrative people. And as letter B says, states grew and competed for land and resources. Stretches of uncultivated land served as buffers. Nevertheless, disputes over land, water rights, and movable property often sparked hostilities. Hostilities were sparked over resources, including land. Land was a big resource. Whoever had the most land could produce the most crops. Whoever could produce the most crops could trade it for the most. Whoever had the most money could conquer the others. And they had the most power. Now moving on to the Nile River Valley, controlled by the Egyptians. So as Egypt's population grew, it led to a more complex political system, including a form of a local kingship. Let me write that down. As Egypt's population grew, a more complicated political system was established, and a local kingship was formed. Let me change the color so that we can differentiate between these two. There we go. Historians can typically agree that ancient Egyptian history is split into 3 kingdoms: Old, Middle, and New. The Egyptian state had a king called the Pharaoh. Pharaoh. I know I spelled that wrong. He was the king. The Egyptians considered the Pharaoh to be a god sent to the earth. They believed the Pharaoh had divine powers. However, they also believed that the Pharaoh was supposed to be benevolent to all his constituents. Egypt was split into many classes. There were peasants, who made up the majority of the population. There were middle-level people, and there were also aristocrats, which typically supported the king. And then there was the king and high-ranking officials, the highest of the high of society. Additionally, the traders, who were often pastoralists, communicated between different societies. They were often the ones to find out about new technologies and diffuse them to more sedentary and agrarian civilizations. Examples of this diffusion include composite bows, iron weapons, chariots, and horseback riding, as said in the key concepts. Well, that is the end of Key Concepts 1.3, Roman numeral number 2 video. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.